Hi class, this is Mr. Tan, and today we are in contemporary hospitality, and we are specifically focusing on what question?
3.1.
Good, we are on 3.1. And what is the first thing that we always do before we try and even start the class? What's the first thing we do? Good, we need to break it down, we need to look at the question. The question says, analyse operational, managerial and legislation issues relating to recent developments affecting the hospitality industry. What's the key word here? Good. What does it mean?
Discuss issues.
Good. Saying how one factor affects another factor. So how does the issues affect managerial side of a hotel? How do the recent issues affect the managerial side? How do the recent issues affect the legislation or legislative issues in terms of a hotel or restaurant? Good. When we're looking at this question, what's the first thing that we need to discuss in this question?
Discuss
Issues.
Good.
Present issues.
Good, excellent. We need to look at the recent developments of hospitality industry, the recent issues in the hospitality industry. So, what are some of the recent developments?
Green issues.
So, sustainability. So, sustainability is becoming more important within our whole environment, with everything that we do. If you look at the shops where we buy from, if you look at the green, how we put our lights on in our own homes, sustainability issues in terms of the green issues and how we conduct our lives, if we are green or not green, is important. How does this affect the hotels? How does sustainability, okay, we'll come on to that. So sustainability is an issue that's affecting the whole industry in terms of becoming more green, becoming more corporate social responsibility in terms of these issues. What other issues are there? Labour costs. What can you elaborate that? What do you mean by labour costs?
Predominantly looking at pay and minimum wages.
So now legislation has taken place in the UK, which says that if you're, a legitimate EU citizen or British citizen, and you're working for a company, then if you're of a certain age, you need to be paid, as this young man says, the minimum wage. Okay. How is this going to affect hotels?
To increase their
Increase
cost.
cost.
Good. It's going to increase their costs, because what is the biggest cost in any hotel, please? Staff costs, correct. And if you're increasing staff costs, then you're increasing the overall cost and reducing your profits. Good. You're reducing your profits. Good. So that's another issue there in terms of recent developments. Other recent developments, please?
Increased competition.
Increased competition. I can't begin to tell you, the hospitality industry in the UK has increased in competition. There's more hotels. There's more hotels working with other companies to offer additional services. You have other companies who are buying up franchises of existing companies. You have companies out there who have more than one company but belong to the same group. So they're in effect competing with each other. If you have more competition, what does that mean? You've got more. You may get better quality depending upon people, what they're doing in the industry. May do, but what does it mean to the cost to the end consumer? Prices are going to come down, aren't they? Because if you are competing and there's more competition, and the consumer can go to your hotel or to another hotel, then you need to make sure, firstly, you're competitive in terms of price. Secondly, you need to make sure that your quality is good. Yeah. So, competition is a big thing here. What other issues, please?
Cost issues.
Cost issues, good.
Need to reduce cost of electricity.
Yes.
Bills,
Yes. So the cost issues in terms of running a hotel, they're ever increasing, aren't they? Are consumers' wages increasing in the UK? No, they haven't been. We've had austerity for the last 7 years, where people's wages have not gone up in line with the rate of inflation. And now you've got all these electricity companies, all the gas companies. What are they saying to us? We've got to increase electricity by 10%. by 7% because they've got this equipment that they need to do and this equipment. And these are passing all additional costs on to the hospitality industry as well as ourselves. What are some of the other issues, please?
Technology.
Technological issues, good. And what's happening with technology?
More machines are installed.
More better ways of doing things, more efficient ways of doing things, social media, self-service, Wi-Fi. What else have you got?
Online
You got online booking, you go online sales, social media. What does this mean for the hotels and restaurants?
Major costs.
More costs in terms of incorporating these systems and things into their business. Okay, good. I mean, you've done really well there. Absolutely superb. I mean, on the online class, there are other issues. And I know you've identified a lot. You've got higher education, where people in the industry are becoming more qualified. We looked at last week in 2.1 and 2.2 the MVQs, level 2, MVQ level 3, the BTEC. We looked at HNC, HND, the degree courses and so on and so forth, the apprenticeships, the basic apprenticeship, the intermediate apprenticeship and the advanced apprenticeship at different levels. So the industry is becoming more professional, which is good for the industry because it makes us more professional, offer a better service, a better quality with the latest practices and the processes, unlike other countries who are not becoming as qualified. Make sense? You've got higher education, you've got labour shortages, cost constraints, increased competition, like we said, market segmentation, increased guest sophistication, technological, interactive reservations, guest room innovations, yield management in terms of getting the best out of your systems. So, starting off with this question, you've obviously got all the issues which we put on the online class. How many issues do you think you should discuss?
5.
Yeah, about 4 or 5. And when you're reading this, tell me what you must do.
Write in your own words.
Good. You must read it, write it in your own words, and then,
Not copy and paste.
obviously, and then reference. So you read it, you put it in your own words, and you reference where you got the material from. Okay? So just follow that stages. Read, own words, reference. Read, own words, and reference. Okay, so you've got this. What's the next thing that we need to look at, please? Let's go back to the question. So we've looked at the issues. Now we need to do what?
Link them to managerial,
Good.
operational, and legislative.
Yes. Well done. We need to link these issues to how they affect, if we take, for example, the operations of a hotel. How they affect the managerial side of a hotel. How they affect legislative issues. And how these legislative issues affect operational and managerial issues. Okay, so how do they affect? Can anyone give me an example of how increased competition may affect managerial issues?
It forces the companies to be more efficient.
Good,
And
excellent.
effective as well.
Yes,
in their
yes,
operations.
yes. So, you're absolutely right. With increased competition, you've got lower sales, lower cost of sales coming in, lower sales coming in, because you've reduced your prices because of competition, yes? And you need to do that, you need to compete a lot of times, unless you're at the high end. But for the majority of the market, you must compete. If you are competing and you are cutting your costs, cutting your sales, the cost of your products, then you're taking in less revenue and you're reducing your gross profit margin and therefore your net profit margin percentages. That being the case, you're quite right when you say, in order to reduce in your profit and loss account your administration costs, you must become more efficient and effective. Becoming more efficient and effective in your processes is all about reducing the amount of defects, reducing the inventory or stock that you have, reducing and cutting down inefficient ways of doing things, and reducing mistakes, which can cost your company money, okay? And looking at processes in terms of how you become more efficient. If you're taking 3 people to clean 30 rooms in a hotel, when you only need 2 people, what does that mean for your hotel if you're using 3 people? Tell me.
Cost of labor.
Yes, you got more cost of labour. So if you can become more efficient and effective in your processes in terms of how your staff are operating, then that can automatically reduce your costs because you're using less staff to do the same tasks in the same amount of time. Does that make sense? And what are some of the principles, management principles? Well, some of the management principles in terms of becoming more efficient and more effective are using Lean and Six Sigma. So if we use Lean and Six Sigma and not Stigma, so what is Lean? So anyone read that for me? What is Lean?
It is simply a method of streamlining a process resulting in increased revenue